This is the Polaris Centre Getting Started with WordPress workshop, and this is a follow-on from a workshop that we ran a few weeks ago called Getting Your Business Online, which looked at 4 or 5 ways that you could get your business online sort of quickly and effectively, and one of those ways was WordPress. And the reason why we've got a workshop specifically on WordPress is that WordPress is the most popular content management system in the world. And if you're not sure what a content management system is, it's basically software that allows you to create and manage your own website. Some of them with less technical skill than others. WordPress is I guess an intermediate system in terms of how much skill you require. So why are you going to use WordPress? Well, it is the most popular content management system in the world at the moment, with something a bit more than a third of the internet powered by WordPress, and it runs everything from tiny blogs that people post to once a month to massive media sites that you'd probably be surprised that are running on WordPress. And stepping back in time about 10 years, WordPress was a blogging tool, or an online diary, or whatever you want to call it. But it's turned into a fully fledged website creation tool. There's almost nothing you can't do with WordPress. It's free, and I think that that's part of the reason why so many people use it and gravitate towards it. It allows you pixel perfect control of the look of your website, if you want to take it that far. And it's what in programmer speak is called extensible, which means that the functionality can be extended as much as you want. And that obviously leads to sort of higher flexibility. You can control everything with it. And because more than a third of the internet is powered by WordPress, there are a boatload of support resources out there on the internet. If you're having a problem with WordPress, then someone else has solved the problem already. If you can't figure out how to do something because you're just getting started, there'll be a video on YouTube explaining how to do that. And I think that for me, it's why I gravitated towards WordPress, was that whatever I wanted to do, I could learn how to do it because of the immense amount of resources that are out there. So that's all the good things about WordPress. Why would you not want to use WordPress? And that first one there is probably the biggest one. While it purports to be easy to use, in reality, getting it set up the first time is rather daunting. It's very feature rich. There's a lot of menus, there's a lot of installation options. There's a lot of stuff that it doesn't do out of the box that you would expect it to, and as a consequence, you have to learn how to install plugins and adjust themes right from the get-go. So don't think that, if you get a bare bones hosting account and then install WordPress on it, that you'll have a website up and running, in an hour or 2 hours or even 2 days. I've done this lots of times before, and I always allow myself a week just to get a basic site up and running if I'm using non-hosted WordPress. The next issue that WordPress has is security. 35% of the internet uses it. So, if I'm Joe Hacker and I want to try to compromise a website, then I'm going to target WordPress, because there's a huge market of potentially vulnerable websites out there. And in addition to sort of that huge amount of websites that use it, its extensible nature means that people that are developing resources for WordPress don't necessarily understand best practices for security. And while your WordPress installation might be quite secure, you might have a plugin installed that isn't secure. So there's always potential for vulnerabilities there. So Lineker wants to know, what extra security do we need to prevent hacking? We'll go into that a bit later, but basically keeping things up to date, using a reputable WordPress host, doing a bit of a risk analysis on any plugins or themes that you're going to use. Quite a few times I've been caught out using free tools and thinking that, I was saving money, but longer term, they've brought costs along with them in terms of security problems that they've brought. So often commercial plugins and themes in WordPress are more secure because those companies are interested in, doing the right thing by you, their customers. So there is an ongoing support cost, and that is the cost and the time taken to keep a WordPress site up to date. This next point is cracking a nut with a sledgehammer. So, WordPress can do everything. It pretty much can do everything. And if you're a micro business and you might only want a 3-page website, WordPress, it can make you a 3-page website, but like I say there, is it cracking a nut with a sledgehammer? There are other content management tools that are quicker to learn and quite suitable for hosting a simple 3-page website. Perhaps they're not as flexible or as powerful, but if all you want is 3 pages, then there are other things you can use. And the other issue is that this ongoing support cost brings along a certain level of technical know-how that you have to keep that site up to date. And, if you're a little remedial massage business or an artist or something like that, are you really in the business of having to learn these technical skills to keep your site up to date? So WordPress has its own terminology that goes along with it, and these are the key ones here. The thing that controls the look of a WordPress website is called the template, and the template is what controls the colors, the logo location, the fonts, the font colors, all that sort of stuff, the font sizes. And each location has what's called, each template has what's called locations. And that's the different areas on the screen for either a computer or a tablet or a mobile device. And this can be a little tricky to understand for people when they're getting into WordPress, because there's no standard names for the location. So you can be using one template and the location can be called one thing, and then you could flip over to another template and it's called something completely different. So that's a bit of a problem. There's what's known as pages and posts, and we'll go into what they are in more detail in a minute. There's the themes, which I've already talked about. There's the plugins, and these are the things that add to the extensible nature of WordPress that allow you to expand on its functionality and, take bookings or publicize events or record a catalogue of information or whatever it happens to be. That extra functionality is created with plugins. And then there's widgets, and widgets are a lot of little sort of smart screen elements like a Facebook post list. Sometimes you see websites where they've got a list of all recent Facebook posts, or you might see a widget that's got the last 5 posts that are posted on a blog or something like that. That's what widgets are. So this gives you some idea of what template locations are. This is sort of the basic layout for a desktop template, so on a computer. And I mean, it's all fairly self-explanatory there. That the header is the top of the website, the footer's at the bottom, the content is where all the live sort of data is displayed, and then the sidebar would contain, widgets or a newsletter sign-up thing, or it's static content that might appear on every page. And as I said, those locations, the names can vary a bit. Some templates don't have all of the locations. and some templates have more locations that I haven't covered here. So, you know, a fairly standard approach for menus in WordPress is to have a top menu, and that's sort of, you know, often you'll see those right up the top of a website. It's got a contact link and, you know, a map link and things like that. And then below that, you have a main menu, and usually that's a drop-down menu. Sometimes different templates will have 7 or 8 different menu types. Pages versus posts. As I said already, WordPress started off as a blogging engine, and a blog is basically an online diary, and as you make posts to a diary, they are dated. So a post has a date, a post has timely information. As the use of WordPress changed over the years, they created this thing called a page. And a page is, I guess, timeless information. So these are 2 pages from my business's website. And on the left, you've got our contact form. And obviously that's timeless information. Our contact form is a static page. It's there, it's available all the time. It makes no difference whether you look at it now or a year ago, the information is still relevant. The post on the right is from our latest news, and obviously that's dated the 15th of May. And while that was relevant around that time, now the information is purely historical. So that's timely information. So that's a key understanding that you need to make on WordPress, is the difference between pages and posts. Just think about it as a page is sort of static information that is useful regardless of when you're looking at it, and a post is useful around the time that it is published. So a theme is what controls the look of the website, controls the overall design, fonts, colors, layouts, and different page and post templates. So that means that often these themes allow you to publish pages and posts of different types. So remember we talked about the sidebar on the right-hand side. Often a theme will include the ability for you to post with the sidebar on the left-hand side or the right-hand side, or on both sides, or not at all. So you can sort of control the look of your website from page to page or post to post that way. It controls where you can put widgets, and widgets are these little smart elements that you can put on the screen. So most templates allow you to pop widgets in the sidebars and the footer. Others allow you to pop them in sort of the main body content and sometimes the header as well. It's where you control, well, getting a bit technical here, but the style for posts and post archives. So style in web speak is fonts, colors, padding, spacing, all of that sort of stuff. Additional schema, and again, getting more technical here. Schema is a technical way of classifying information. So a post is a type of schema and a page is a type of schema. And WordPress allows you to create, the theme developers to create their own schema. So for example, you can create a theme around a booking engine, and you can create a booking schema, and a booking will have a booking date, the person that it's booked with, the booking location, the booking notes, and all that sort of stuff. So this builds on this extensibility of WordPress. They allow you to create all of this sort of stuff. So if you're a hairdresser, for example, there's a whole bunch of WordPress themes that are designed specifically for that industry. Okay, and they include a bunch of schema that is ideally suited to your industry. So, you know, if you are some sort of industry vertical, it's well worth having a look to see if there's a theme that is designed specifically for your industry. Themes can be paid or free. And I guess I gravitate towards paid themes these days, and simply because I want to know that there is going to be support for my theme as time goes by, because it can and certainly does happen that something changes in WordPress that breaks the theme. And if your developer is not developing that theme anymore, then you're in big trouble. You're in big trouble because you either need to find a developer to fix your theme for you, or you need to move to a different theme. And speaking from long experience, you don't want to move to a different theme unless you really have to, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So there's 5 places there where you can source themes from. WordPress and Theme Forest are directories of themes. So you can go there and view, hundreds and thousands of different themes. The 3 on the right, Divi, Builder, and Avada, they are theme authors and they create commercial themes, and they have industry-specific themes available, like lots of them. And they're well worth a look. I use Divi almost exclusively, and but most WordPress developers will pick one and stick with that. Plugins are what extend the functionality of what WordPress can do. You, as a WordPress site manager, will need to understand how to install, activate, and remove plugins. Because as I said, a lot of stuff that you think WordPress should do out of the box, it doesn't do. Like a classic one is contact forms. There's no built-in functionality in WordPress for a contact form. So the sort of standard contact form plugin that everyone uses is Contact Form 7. So as a bare minimum, you're going to have to learn how to install and activate that. I love plugins. I think they're fantastic. They can make WordPress do whatever you like, but they bring issues along with it. And number one is speed. If you've got 400 plugins installed on your website, then there is going to be an impact on the speed with which your site loads. And best practice from Google is that your site should load in under 3 seconds. So, as a WordPress owner and WordPress site owner, and unfortunately most newbies do this, is that they install lots of plugins and, for social widgets and this and that and the other thing. And you're just slowing yourself down for no good reason a lot of the time. So you need to sort of evaluate fairly closely what it is that you need and what you don't need. They bring along security risks. And this happened to me last year, was that, we had a plugin and installed it maybe 4 years ago. It was updating automatically, but then the developer dropped it about a year ago. Didn't continue the development of it anymore. Someone discovered a vulnerability with that plugin. Someone wrote a hacking code to exploit it, and one of our websites got exploited. And that comes back to this commercial versus free idea. This guy was developing this plugin as just something to do. He got sick of doing it, stopped developing it, and we got burnt because of it. If you pick plugins from bigger commercial companies, that's much less likely to happen, because typically these commercial plugins, they charge an annual fee and they want your money every year, so they keep it up to date. Okay, they make sure that these sorts of problems don't happen. And while 4 or 5 lots of $30 or $40 a year might sound like a lot, I can assure you that if your website's hacked once, it sounds pretty damn cheap. Okay, because it means that you're not up at midnight trying to figure out what the heck has gone on with your website, or having to contract programmers to sort out problems, or your web host, if your website gets compromised, a web host can lock your website down and just switch it off. So these are risks that you need to be aware of, and sometimes trying to save money just isn't worth it. So, how do you know what a good plugin to pick is? Check when it was last updated. Ideally, these things are updated continually, so that, as WordPress is updated, the plugins are updated along with it to leverage off of new features, to fix up known security problems and things like that. Check out their support forum. So every plugin available for WordPress has a support forum on the main WordPress website. Check to see if the developers are answering questions. You know, if people are asking questions and they're not getting answered, then that's a red flag for me. And, you know, check if they do have some sort of support contract that you can buy into. These things are quite technical. If you have to sort of get into the code, you don't want to be doing that. So, you know, if there's support available, then that's going to be a better plugin to pick from. So there's a few big plugins there, and they're probably the 4 biggest ones that are out there. Contact Form 7, as I said, is a contact form system where you can build forms for people to contact you or leave information or collect survey data and stuff like that. Yoast is a search engine optimization plugin. You won't be using WordPress for very long before you start hearing about SEO or search engine optimization. And Yoast is the big daddy of plugins for that sort of stuff on WordPress. Jetpack is a all-in-one plugin pack that includes lots of different stuff. It is supported by the WordPress core developers. It's a very powerful and continually updated plugin, and lots of people use that because of the speed benefits that it brings and the extra functionality that it adds. And then W3 Total Cache is like a speed up program that lots of people recommend that you use. There's a plugin directory available on the main WordPress website, and you can also scan through available plugins from within your WordPress website itself. Widgets add functionality to specific areas of your site or specific locations. They can be added to headers, footers, and sidebars. And there's some of the different types of widgets there. When we actually run through a site that I built for this workshop a bit later, I'll point out what some of those widgets are. But Google Maps, pricing tables, site categories, latest post widgets, so the last 5 posts, search boxes, testimonial widgets, and often widgets come as part of the plugins that you're using or the themes that you're using. So, for example, I built a website for a funeral home, and they use a funeral theme, a funeral home theme. There is such, like I said, there's themes for every vertical that you can think of, and that added a whole pile of widgets to their site, such as, you know, upcoming funerals and online testimonials, so people could leave online testimonials and things like that. And so, you know, it's worth, if you do pick a theme, it's worth drilling down into that and seeing what extra functionality it can add to your website. So how do you get started? The first thing you need is a domain, and then you need to work out how the site's going to be hosted. You need to have some basic marketing goals for your website, plan it out, and then choose a design that fits within templates that are available. Now, you know, if we've got unlimited budget, then we can sort of, you know, put a design on a piece of white paper and then get a developer to build a theme specifically for us. But in reality, most small businesses like ours don't have the money or the resources or the time to do that. So often we pick an off-the-shelf theme and tweak it to fit what we want. So I like to suggest to most people that you go and look at some themes that I've already mentioned, like Divi or Avada or things like that. Have a look at what themes are available. Perhaps pick one that fits inside your vertical or one that you like the design of, and then sort of white paper your site around what the theme does out of the box, rather than, I guess, making a rod for your back and trying to bend it to your will. So a domain costs $15 to $20 per annum, and that's for a .com or a .au, .com.au domain. I always suggest that you use a dedicated domain name registrar. And what does that mean? It means that, if you sign up for a web hosting account with GoDaddy or Bluehost or something, and they say, for an extra $25, we'll throw in a domain for you. I don't ever recommend doing that. And that's simply a risk mitigation thing. If you have a falling out with Bluehost or GoDaddy or whoever you choose, then getting your domain off of them can be problematic. Whereas if you pick one of these big domain name registrars and there's a couple there, then if you have a falling out with your web host or they go broke or they're not performing the way that you want, then you can spin up a site on a new web host, change some settings on your domain name registrar and get a new website up and running. Now, it sounds a bit tinfoil hat that could be a problem, but I can assure you it happens. I get probably one client every couple of months calling us here at Polaris who's having that problem. They've had a problem with the developer, a bill hasn't been paid, or the developer won't deliver on what they're promising, and the developer locks down the site, and it just so happens the developer has control of the domain as well, and you're in big trouble. And the domain is a key piece of your intellectual property, of your business's marketing brand, and you don't ever want to lose control of that. So that's why you need to keep the two separate. Keep domains simple, keep them short, keep them easy to type, avoid numbers, avoid hyphens, think about keywords that you can pop into the domain, and think branding, don't think generic. So what I mean by that is try not to use common use words. And that's purely a digital visibility thing, is that if your domain is a common use word, then you're always going to struggle to show up because of all the dictionary sites out there that define the meaning of the word that is in your domain. The example, and apologies to Mike here, who's heard this example about 75 times now. One client I had here, he used, unknown to him, the title of a song was the name of his business, and it was You Live, You Learn, which is a Alanis Morissette song. And as a consequence, his website never showed up. And to be honest, it was never ever going to show up because Alanis Morissette lyric sites out there on the internet, had the first 1 million positions in the search engine rankings. So, think branding in your domain name. And then those other tips there. Don't use hyphens. Don't put numerals in it. The reason for that is because if there's a numeral, then you have to say that it's the numeral when you're telling people, and they'll type in the letters, they'll just get it wrong. So keep it easy. And .com.au is better for Australian businesses. Google gives a local search engine boost to .com.au domains for people that are searching in Australia. So if your customers are in Australia, try to get the .com.au. So there's two types of hosting available for WordPress. And the first one is managed hosting, and they are dedicated WordPress hosting companies. That is all they do. They just host WordPress. And they even take it further than that. They control what you can and can't do on WordPress. Okay? And there's good reasons for that, and there's downsides to it as well. We'll cover that in a minute. And then there's shared hosting. And shared hosting is what I call a bare bones hosting account. You pay $5 or $10 a month for an account, and then you can do pretty much whatever you like on that account. You can install WordPress, you can install Joomla, you can hand code your website in HTML using Windows Notepad. You can, you can do whatever you like. And there's pluses and minuses to that as well. So managed hosting takes what I call a walled garden approach. So got the whole wide internet out there full of, people trying to do terrible things to your website. And the managed hosting account, they build a wall around your website and they help protect it from the bad people. And the way that they do that is that they take care of all of the security. They control what you can and can't do in WordPress. They will only allow you to install certain plugins. They will only allow you to install certain themes. They won't give you access to the back-end code of WordPress. Okay, they won't give you command line access to the server. They won't let you add fields to your database tables and things like that. So they know what causes problems in WordPress, and they don't let you do it. Usually they include a secure certificate. So that's, the little padlock icon at the top of your browser, HTTP versus HTTPS. As I said, they're only allowed to install certain things. Usually they cost more. And what I mean by more, I mean $20 or $30 a month versus $5 or $10. So, it's 2 or 3 times the cost. And less flexibility. So for some of my websites, managed hosting would be a deal killer because I can't do the sort of tricky things that I need to do to sell our software products. But then other websites that we've got, absolutely managed hosting would have been a better solution for us because we wouldn't have had these ongoing security problems that we've had with those websites. So I would suggest that, and just sort of looking at the businesses that are here now, that for most of the businesses that are here now, apart from the cost, that managed hosting is probably going to be the better way to go for you rather than sort of a shared hosting account. So what's a shared hosting account? It allows you to install what you like. So you can install WordPress and then install whatever plugins you like, install whatever themes you like. You can get into the WordPress is built on a programming language called PHP. You can get into the PHP files and edit it and break stuff. You can do whatever you like. Generally, they don't include an SSL certificate. That's an extra cost. So it's worth balancing that extra monthly cost with the additional annual cost of a secure certificate. So a secure certificate on a website costs about $80 a year. So, those managed hosting accounts aren't quite as expensive as what you think. Shared hosting means less security. What does that mean? It means that the computer that your website is on has lots of other people's websites on it as well. And even though your WordPress site might be perfectly secure, there might be another WordPress website on that server that isn't, and it can compromise the server and bring your site down as well. Okay, and that all sounds pretty scary, but these are the realities of WordPress on a shared hosting account. So, domain, hosting, we've picked those, and now we need to actually think about why we're having a website, why we've actually got a website. And I believe that every website needs to have a primary goal, and that goal should drive the design of the website. And there's a bunch of goals there. For some businesses, having a website is purely for credibility or for marketing outreach. So the example I always use is you're driving down Main North Road over there and a plumber's van drives past and you need a plumber. You see the business name on the side of the van and, your husband who's in the passenger seat gets on the phone and looks it up. And the website is purely there so that you can find that plumber more easily. So that's a credibility or marketing outreach point of view. Our retail shop, our website is purely for online sales. So, we've got an e-commerce store, it's optimized, the checkout process is really easy, we accept all sorts of payment methods and things like that. If you're a hairdresser, your website may be purely to take bookings. So you've got a booking engine on there. Yeah, Ken Hall, that's right. So plumbers, lots of tradies say they don't need websites, and I think they're crazy. They absolutely need a website. Even if it's just a one-pager, they need a website. So you need to have a goal for your website. And I think every business can have a goal for their website, and that will help drive what the website looks like. For a lot of businesses, the structure of the website can be quite simple when you're getting started. So, a hairdresser, for example, if you're just sort of spinning up the website for the first time, you might only have a home page and a bookings page, and that's it. And then as time goes by, you might add a separate contact page, and then an about page, and then a services page, and things like that. Longer term, you probably want to add a blog or a latest news section. I'm greatly of the opinion that a one-page website now is better than a 30-page website in a year. So, in a content management system like WordPress allows you to build the website. Don't have to start off with all 30 pages. You can start with one, add pages, add menu items, and just build it. That's the whole idea of it. And then, and this is probably beyond the scope of what we're doing here, but you need to think about the search engine optimization of the website. And that's basically thinking about what people are going to be searching for when you want them to be looking at your website. So, Ken Hall, Adelaide plumber. All right. Daniel Hassler, hassle-free glazing, northeast broken glass, or repair broken window, tea tree gully, or something like that. You need to be thinking about what keywords people are going to be searching for when you want them to be looking at your website, and structure the content of your website around that. Now, as I said, that's beyond the scope of what we're doing today. We will, at some point, I think, Mike, do some sort of basic search engine content development workshop. So keep an eye out on the Polaris Facebook page for that. And I should just add, if you're not following the Polaris Facebook page, please go and follow it. We have a Monday What's On post every Monday. And, at the moment, all of our workshops are online and free. So, get along to as much as you can. So who's here that I've met before? Valerie, I've met before. There's a couple of people I've met before, so they would have seen this before. I see lots of businesses, and I am a big believer in the elevator pitch, which is this idea that you can tell someone in the ride from the 10th floor to the ground floor, who you are, what your business is, and how your product or service impacts on people's lives. And your website really needs to function the same way, but you don't get the 10th floor to the ground floor. You get 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Okay, I'm bored. I've gone off somewhere else. Okay, you get 3 to 5 seconds when people land on your website to tell them who you are, why you're awesome, and what it is that you want them to do. Okay, you get, honestly, 3 to 5 seconds. And and you need to do it, for most people, you need to do it in that much space. One screen full of space on a phone. So on this slide here, I've got a screenshot from, it's another content management system, incidentally, called Wix. And Wix is huge, like thousands of employees, hundreds of thousands of websites, huge business. But their homepage looks like this. It's got 6 words, 7 words. 7 words and a big button, because they can tell you in 7 words what it is that they do, or why they're awesome, I should say, and what it is that they want you to do. Okay, they create professional websites. This is where you can create a professional website. What do they want you to do? Get started. Simple as that. We, as small business people, often get into our business because we're passionate about it. And I think sometimes when we first spin up a website, we think that we need to tell people about that passion. And that's an admirable goal. But the reality is that if someone lands on your website and there's a massive wall of text, they're gone. No one reads it. So that's what I'm saying about no life stories. Okay, think about how you could make your homepage, or at least the first screen full of information on your homepage, how you could make it that simple. Who, why, what, who you are, why you're awesome, what it is that you want the person to do. So I will just run you through the WordPress site builder, and I created a software. We'll just right. So can you see that site there where it says therapeutic massage made simple? Can everyone see that? Yeah. Okay, so this is a WordPress website that I built for this workshop. It took about 45 minutes, not much work. And this is using WordPress.com. And WordPress.com is WordPress's, so WordPress, the content management system, is on WordPress.org. This is really confusing. But the people that create the WordPress content management system also have a hosting service, which is on WordPress.com. So don't get them confused. The .org is where you get the free stuff from. The .com is where you can get it hosted. So I whipped up this website in about 45 minutes using their free hosting account. So the restrictions on the free hosting account are that you can't have your own domain, you can't install plugins, you can't really change the themes very much. So, you know, there's certain restrictions around that. But this is just to give you an example of how it can work or how easy it is. So just excuse me while I bring this over here so I can see what I'm supposed to be doing. Right. So that's what the website looks like. This is the management screen, and changing a theme, and the theme, remember, is what controls how the website looks. Okay, that's what the theme is. The theme is available, funnily enough, from the themes menu, and the free version of this WordPress hosting includes a whole bunch of different themes. Now, what are the advantages of these themes? Well, one is that WordPress keeps them up to date. So if there's any security problems or if something stops working because the content management system is updated and new features are added or old features are removed, they keep all those up to date. You don't need to worry about it. The other advantage is that they're all mobile friendly out of the box. And these days, you know, the rule of thumb is 80% of people are looking at your website on a phone. So even though we all sit here and design websites on our computers, the reality is that you should be looking at what it looks like on your phone. So the fact that the WordPress themes are mobile friendly, which means that they render correctly on a mobile phone, is really useful for you. It means that you don't need to have a phone and an iPad and an Android tablet and check it on all of them just to make sure that everything looks right. I'm not going to change the theme, because if I change the theme, it breaks the whole website, because as I said, you don't change themes lightly. But you can see here that amongst these themes, they're tailored to different industry verticals. And it's quite easy for most businesses to look through here and find a theme that initially at least probably suits what they want to do. Okay. Changing a theme is simply a matter of picking one and then clicking the activate button, and that's it. That's all you need to do, nothing more than that. So we'll just go back. Add a page. So if we look down the left-hand side here, we've got site and then pages. Great. There's the pages that I've got on this website at the moment. There's 4 pages. Funnily enough, to add a new page, you click the Add New Page button. So the page builder in WordPress is, I guess, a bit like Word. If you can use a word processor, then there we go. If you can use a word processor, then you can probably use this. You don't need any coding or anything like that, except it's not rendering properly. Mike, come and fix the computer, please.
Not on Wi-Fi, are you, Mark?
No, I'm not on Wi-Fi. I'm not doing that again.
Thank goodness for that.
Right, hang on a second. Oh, you're kidding me.
Must be WordPress.com. It's their fault.
Yeah, well, it worked this afternoon, so... Well, it looks like I'm not going to be able to show you that. Basically, when you add a new page, as I mentioned when we were talking about themes, each theme offers up different page layouts, and it's exactly the same on WordPress.com. You can choose a 1-column layout, a single column layout, a 3-column layout, and then there's contact pages that you can choose from. There's photo gallery pages that you can choose from, portfolio pages and things like that. So we'll just see if we can actually edit a page, just to show you how easy it is. I don't believe it. Oh, there we go. All right. Hooray. Right, so this is what the page editor looks like. So this is the contact page. So it's important to understand that while this is kind of what you see is what you get, it doesn't include the headers and footers. So we're just working on the content part of the page, okay? So this is our contact page, and the way to think about WordPress is in blocks. It provides what's called a block model, and think of the page as a series of blocks. So this contact here is a title block. This picture here is an image block. This is a paragraph block and things like that. So, you know, changing the paragraph is just a simple matter of clicking on it and typing in some more text, okay? Choosing a different image, click on the image block and choose replace, and then we can upload new images or choose from images that we've uploaded previously. There is no coding required for most of this stuff, none whatsoever. You can build quite a visually attractive site just by clicking and dragging and moving things around. So if we go to the bottom of our contact form here, we can add a new block very easily. So let's say that we want to add we'll add an image block. So we just click on the plus button, we choose the image block from the pop-up that appears there, and here's our image block surrounded by the blue border here. We can upload a new image. So it's key to understand that, you know, the files on your computer aren't available to the website, so you need to actually upload images to the website to make them available, or you can pick from images that you've already uploaded. WordPress has what's called a media library, and that is a library of every file that you have ever uploaded to your website. That can be images, it can be PDF documents, it can be Word documents, it can be spreadsheets, it can be anything. Anything that you've ever uploaded is there. So we'll just choose to upload something and we'll pick, so I'm just picking a file from my local computer here and uploading it. So now we've got this image block here, not really sure why, but it's there. And we'll add let's add a paragraph, okay? Add a paragraph. So now we've added an image, we've added a paragraph, some text to this page. We could, for example, add columns. So we can create a 2-column layout. So now we've got 2 columns there, and we can add an image into each column, and then we get a nice 2-column layout on the page. Or we can add an image into the left column and some text into the right column. So we get some text to the right-hand side of our nice image. Okay, so it was only 3 years ago where this was magic. You couldn't do this on WordPress. Now you can create multi-column layouts. Just you don't need one bit of coding whatsoever. Anyway, we'll just update that. Right, and we'll go and take a look at our contact page, and we should see at the bottom of our contact page our newly published block. Our newly published blocks there. So it really is that simple. Okay, just think about this block model on the page. Think about a free theme supported long-term by WordPress. Can I still have a domain name in case? Yes, okay, so the free themes that are delivered by WordPress are supported by WordPress. They release a new theme every year based on what year it is. So their free theme is 2020. Those other themes that you saw there are still updated every year. And there are a bunch of paid ones that become available when you upgrade to a paid account. Can you have a domain name in conjunction with the free? You can't have a domain name in conjunction with a free WordPress account. Right, so to make the distinction here between a free account and a free theme. You can't have a domain name with a free account, but if you've got a paid account with a free theme, you can have a domain name. Okay, does that make sense, Selena? I hope. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, thanks, Michaela, for your sympathy there. It always happens, doesn't it? Things don't work when you want them to. Add a post, add a menu item. So we talked about, oh look, the page has decided to appear. Lucky me. There's all the different types of pages that we can create, but I've gone off that, so I'm not adding a page now. We can add a post, and adding a post. Remember the difference between a page and a post? Does everyone remember what the difference was? Timely versus timeless. Okay, so on our little Polaris Sports Massage section here, the contact page is timeless. It's always, yeah, that's right, Michaela. The contact page is timeless. It's always going to be the contact page. But on our latest news section where we're talking about ISO fit tips, obviously timely. Hopefully in a year's time, ISO fit tips won't be needed anymore. Right? So we're back here on the management console. We're looking down the left-hand side. We've got pages and posts. Adding a post is just a matter of picking the post, clicking the Add New Post button, and come on. Oh, there we go. Hooray. Adding a title. Right, so, it's as easy as that. And the posts, again, use the block model. So we're not restricted to just having text on here. We can certainly add blocks. So that little plus symbol pops up. We can pick a column, and we'll go for a 50-50 column, so a left and a right column split. So Selena, I think that most small businesses are better off with some sort of managed hosting, whether that be managed WordPress hosting, managed Wix hosting, or managed Squarespace hosting, simply because they take care of the maintenance for you. Okay, they take care of the security for you. Admittedly, there is a higher monthly cost, but having seen businesses in the situation where they leave their WordPress site alone for 6 months and then they come back and look at it and it doesn't work anymore, okay, or it gets compromised. And that's what can happen on shared hosting. It's okay if you've got a technical person inside your business whose job it is to take care of that site, then by all means, go for shared hosting. But if you're not in the business of, maintaining websites and doing technical stuff like that, I just don't understand why you'd want to. So, all right. So we're just creating a block here. We can, what do? We'll add an image again. And we'll choose one from our media library. So we'll pick our phone here. And then we'll add heading. And then below that, we could put some more text in there. So we've got a nice two-column layout there with a picture on the left and some text on the right. And I can't tell you 10 years ago how long it would have taken me to work out how to do that. Okay, you're talking hours, and now it takes you 30 seconds. We can publish our blog entry. We'll go back to our latest news here, and we'll reload the page. And there's our fitness tips for Zoom meetings, and we can click on the entry. And there's our nice little blog entry that we created really quickly. So mobile friendly, renders properly, easy to read, nice layout. You're not fighting with the tool to try and create the page. You can just sit there and be creative and let the words flow. It's pretty hard to argue with. So yeah. Trish, I have a WordPress blog that's out of date with an older free theme. I need to update the theme to one that works with Gutenberg and blocks. As you said, it's hard to change themes. Will there be a webinar on how to change themes? I hadn't planned to have one specifically on that. I'm not sure how much traction there would be with it, but certainly, Trish, if you wanted to give me a call, and you would have got my phone number on the email that I sent you earlier today. I've been through that process lots of times, and there is a way that sort of a standard way of doing it with staging sites, but it really comes down to a lot of hard work and moving it over page by page, and there's no real way around it, unfortunately. Some of the paid themes have migration tools to allow you to migrate from an old version to a new version, but if it was a free theme, then you're probably out of luck. Okay. Right, so we've added a post, so we'll add a menu item. So if we look across the top here, we've got our menu items up top, and we talked about menu locations. There was a top menu and a main menu, and then some themes you could have a menu in the footer, and there's just all sorts of different menu locations. Adding a menu item, you don't need to worry about any HTML or URLs or anything like that. You can do it really easily. We can just go down here to customize and pick our menus. And here's our two menu locations. We've got main menu and primary menu. And again, it can vary from theme to theme what they're called and where they are. But we'll pick I picked the wrong one. We'll pick the main menu. Here's our menu items. If you look down the left-hand side here, you'll note that they match up with the menus across the top of this little website that I built. We can change the order of those if we want to. Put the latest news down there. Put the book now over there. And maybe we'll add a menu item for our new blog entry that we created. We'll pick a post and we'll do fitness tips for Zoom meetings. So we just clicked on it and then it appears there. But, you know, we don't want to call it fitness tip for Zoom meetings because that's too long. We'll just call it Zoom fitness. So, and that's it. Save changes. Wait for the Polaris internet to catch up. Reload the page and look, here's our Zoom fitness button over there. Okay, so it's that easy to add menu items and things like that. You can have multi-level menu items so that, you know, we could have services, a cascading menu, I think it's called, services, and then have services, the different services that we offer in menus that are just sort of off to one side. And that's all drag and drop as well. Really easy, really easy. And the last thing that we'll look at in the builder here is the plugins. And because we're on the free plan, we don't have the ability to install plugins, but it's also just down here under the tools menu. And this is where all the plugins are available. And if you've got the shared version of WordPress, it looks kind of like this as well. They don't look much different. The user interface is pretty much the same. But primarily to install the plugin, you just pick one from the list and click install, and then you need to activate it. It's not very hard. It's just a couple of clicks. But because we're on the free plan, I can't show you how that works. Do you get technical support from paid WordPress account? Yes, you do. You do get technical support, and that is something that I didn't mention as an advantage for managed hosting. And then whether that be managed hosting with WordPress or managed hosting with Wix or Shopify or whatever, you do get online support. And if you're using shared hosting, you get nothing. It's up to you to fix up any problems that you might have, okay? And how much does it cost? That's a good question. Let's go upgrade and see what it says. So we can buy a domain for $24 a year. That's just for the domain. And the plans, personal plan, $5 a month, premium plan, $10 a month. Well, that's a lot cheaper than the last time I looked. The last time I looked, it was $24 a month. So, look, I've got to say, for $10 a month, that's pretty darn good value. You're only talking $120 a year plus domain costs. And just getting a secure certificate on a website usually costs $80 a year. Okay, that's pretty good value for a system that's really that easy to use. And seriously, I created this site in about 45 minutes. And, you know, it's got nice header image. It's got these little quotey bits and pictures and contact form and map location thing. And, you know, that would have taken me a month 10 years ago. It would have taken me a month to do that. So it's super cool. Super cool. So I think that's about it. I think that was our last slide. Just bring this over here. So what are you going to do next? Do it yourself. If I was going down the... Oh, hello, Selena, sorry. Do you get technical support? If I pay for a domain at a monthly charge, do I get to keep the domain if I leave them? Yes. So the domain is yours. It's managed by a domain name registrar. Now, if you buy it with WordPress.com, they're your domain name registrar. The thing that you can do is you can do what's called a push. You can push the domain to another registrar. So let's say, for example, you registered selena.com.au with WordPress.com and you spun up a website on there and you just decided that you didn't like it. Okay, you don't like WordPress and you want to go with Wix. So what you would do then is go and sign up for a domain name account on Namecheap or GoDaddy or somewhere like that, do a domain push your domain, selena.com.au, to that domain name registrar. And then you can actually point it at your site over on Wix or your site on Squarespace. Okay. Every domain name registrar that I know allows you to push a domain. Part of the reason why I don't like registering domains with web hosts like that is because if you do get jacked of them, then you have to do that push, and it can take 5 to 10 working days. Whereas if you just pick a dedicated domain name registrar from the get-go, like Namecheap, you can just register your domain and then go and find a host wherever you like. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, that's good, Selena. What next? Do you do it yourself or do you find someone to do it for you? It's always the question, you know, if you find someone to do it for you, do you have the financial resources? Do you have the project management expertise to actually manage such a thing from go to woe? It can be pretty daunting managing a developer to build a website, and you're not necessarily going to understand what they're saying. They're not necessarily going to give you exactly what you expected. So, you know, there's a lot of scoping up front and design up front to make sure that you get what you want. So do you have the expertise and the time and money to do that? You know, can you do it yourself? And for some people, I think you can absolutely do it yourself. And, you know, perhaps you need a bit of sort of coaching or mentoring from someone like me, or, you know, if you've got other people that you know that are in business, or everyone's got a son that knows this stuff or a daughter that knows this stuff, someone that can just sort of help you through the technical bits and pieces. But, you know, I strongly believe that if you have a purpose for your website, you wireframe out a design so you know what you want it to look like, then tools like WordPress.com allow pretty much anyone to build a nice looking website without too much effort. So it's a good way of getting your business online. So will this information be visible post Zoom? Yeah, because it's recording, we'll upload this to the Polaris YouTube channel. And that won't happen till next Monday. And when it does, Mike, have you got a list of everyone who's attending?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, well, I'll email that YouTube link along with a feedback form to everyone next Monday. No, next Tuesday, because next Monday is a public holiday.
So please save your feedback till then. Make sure it's positive.
Yeah, that's right. If I did something wrong, please forget about it by then. Does anyone else have any questions?
Do you want to you can unmute yourselves if you want to ask the questions, or we're happy to hear from you.
Yeah.
Selena, you're unmuted. Pam's unmuted. So happy for you to talk.
If you've already got a website, which I have, how do you get rid of that one and have a new one?
In simple terms, you point your domain at the new website. So you can still use your own domain. So it's Valerie Jordan Fine Art, isn't it? Isn't that your domain, Val?
Yes, Jordan Fine Art, yeah.
So do you know where your domain is hosted?
Well, I think I pay Voice, somebody called Voice.
Okay, yeah. You change they're called DNS settings to point it at your website on a different host. So you could go and set up a WordPress site like we've just done, upgrade it to a paid plan, and then you can point your old domain at the new WordPress website. So
the old one will just vanish?
Yeah, that's right.
Disappear. No one will be able to see it again?
That's right. It'll be gone forever.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you don't need a new, don't go and register a new domain.
No, I went for that.
All right.
Right.
Thanks, Val. Anyone else?
Is there any further training on WordPress scheduled at this stage?
What would you like help doing? Because I'm always looking for new workshop ideas. So, you know, how far into this did we want to go? Do we want to building your website on WordPress.com workshop where we, you know, build a home page or something like that?
Yeah, the actual ideas and layout and how to actually do some of those things on WordPress would make it a little bit easier, I guess, quicker to do.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea, Mike. Just, building your homepage on WordPress.com. We could do something like that, run that for an hour. As I said, it's not too difficult. So, yeah.
You could even do it over a couple of sessions, Mark, just to get started, and then do a couple of things each session.
Yeah. How was because I can't see what using my screen was like, how was the vision of the mouse moving around and things like that? Was it, clear what I was doing, or?
Yes, it was clear.
Mm-hmm.
There was just a lot in a short space of time. So I was, I guess, trying to think about what you were doing, whether I'd want that, and you're already almost finished doing it. So it's just nice to spend a bit of time, thinking about it and watching what you're doing.
Okay. Yep, I think that's a great idea. Thanks, Selena.
Yeah, no, that's excellent thoughts.
Anyone
It
else?
looks in a very nice place, Selena.
Yeah, if only.
Little bit windy, just like here.
Just going back to my question earlier. Valerie's mentioned that she's looking at going from one website to another, and you mentioned it's easy enough to redirect the DNS from one host to another. But I suppose in my situation where I'm looking at entirely rebuilding the website, I imagine I would need to set up some sort of staging site somehow on the same host.
Yeah, that's right.
And then that's where it gets complicated, sort of knowing how you then stage it. Building part is easy, if anything.
Who's your host? Who's your web host, Trish?
Transfer it over from one WordPress to another.
So the way to sort of get your head around it is that a staging site is usually just a subdomain, and sort of just a bit of technical information. www is a subdomain. Okay, so you could have staging.trish.com.au, and effectively that is its own website. So all you're really doing is setting up a whole new website on a subdomain, getting it all up and running, and then when it's all going the way you want it to, you just redirect the www to the directory that the staging site is in.
Okay.
Most web hosts can provide you with some sort of assistance with that. If it's one of the really big web hosts that are really cheap, then often they won't. It's with who?
Zuba. So that's the Ventra IP's system.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they could probably help you. So Ventra IP is pretty good. They could probably help you set that up. The only issue is when you roll it from the staging to the live site, often some of the theme stuff breaks. So there's quite a bit of you have to go back and sort of tweak a bunch of stuff when you roll it over to the new site. But I've done that process lots of times before, and that's really the only way to do it. It's the only sensible way to do it.
Yeah, because I did it about 10 years ago, but back then things were quite different. That was going from an HTML to a WordPress site. Yeah. And what I found was, because I built it on test.name.com.au, there was a lot of mucking around in trying to get it to change all of the test.farmworld.com.au names when it went over. Yeah. So I imagine there'd be plugins and things now that are available to make
just make sure that, and I'll get technical again here, that you always use relative referencing with all your links and things like that. Okay, don't use absolute referencing, otherwise that's where you have problems. And similarly, a lot of themes will, like the one that you'll almost invariably have trouble with is background images. They use absolute referencing in most plugins, and I don't know why, but just they seem to do it. So, if possible, when you're getting ready to migrate from the staging to the live site, go through and take out all those domain names and things like that, and just start everything off with the backslash. Okay, and that will work much better for you. Okay. Anyone else? That was very technical, Trish.
We've had it for about 10 years now, so.
Look, you know, it's not a process I envy you. It's a lot of work moving a site to a new theme.
It's grown into a big web. Yeah, it's grown into a big.
I can do that.
Yeah. All right. All right. Who's got children there?
It's me.
Oh, okay.
Selena's got a little one that wants to ask some questions.
No worries. All right. If that
well,
was
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark. That was
Mark.
really insightful. I learned a lot as well. Some applications that we can use for ProcessWire, which is our very unusual CMS for the Polaris Centre. So thank you all for participating. As Mark said, there'll be some links to the video and a survey coming out as well. So really appreciate your feedback. It's important we get that. And thanks for your good suggestions tonight. I think there's some a nice little segue into doing some other things. So once again, thank you, audience, for participating, and thank you, Mark, for another very good workshop.
No worries.
And
Thanks,
keep
Marco.
in touch, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.